Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We are going to break down Levi's. I'm going to do my best to try to explain it to you, pretty much give you a background on it, add some photos, and just tell you which ones is best to pick up, which ones you could pretty much leave behind. This is more geared towards resellers, but either way, if you're into Levi's and just want to know about Levi's, then definitely tune into this video because it's definitely going to be very informative. I can't break down every specific thing about Levi's only because this video will take forever. Levi's is a brand that's been around for so long, but we're definitely going to hit some key hitters, so definitely stay around for this video because it is happening now. But we have to cue that intro. Hey guys, thank you for joining my video, and we are back with an informative video. But as promised, I have for you guys a Levi's informative video, and we are going to break down Levi because we all want to know what Levi's to pick up, what not to pick up. Is it any Levi's that's worth anything? Is it not? Where did Levi's start? Don't worry, I got you. It's all coming your way. But guys, if you guys don't know me, I am Ariel. And I am a reseller, a full-time reseller on an app called Poshmark. I love what I do, and I love bringing content to you. I am a reseller of second chances and of quick flips. So I resell secondhand clothing. I bring it to you guys to give it the chance to live and to breathe again. However, guys, now that we got that over with, in today's video, I will have my notes. Now that we got that out of the way, the only reason I will have these notes is because, let's face it, I will not remember all of this stuff in my head. Like, I know the bits and the pieces of what to pick up, what not to pick up, you know, but in order for me to explain it to y'all in a very detailed way, I needed my notes. So with that being said, we are going to dive into this video because Levi's to me is a lot. It's a lot to unfold. It's a lot if you're going thrifting, you don't know what to pick up. It's a lot of styles. It's a lot of numbers. It's a lot of vintage ones. It's a lot of just different colored tabs. It's so many different Levi's out there, and we all ask each other, what is Levi's should we pick up? What should we do? I got it for you. The first thing that I am going to talk about, literally, we all know and love Levi's. Levi's has been a staple in the majority of our closets for over 150 years. I mean, we not new to Levi's. I'm definitely not new to Levi's. It was one of my favorite brands as a kid. I will never forget it. I had almost every pair of Levi's. It was definitely Y2K for sure, but even before Y2K, you had people wearing it all over the world. You had people in trading wars wearing it. That's how far it goes back. So Levi's is definitely a brand that goes beyond our ancestors. That's how far Levi go back. We all know about the typical ones, the 501s, the 511s, the 721s, and etc. But how well do we know Levi's, right? Because we only know about those typical ones or the wedgies fitted, whatever like that, but we really don't know them, right? So let's jump in, right? So the first thing that we're going to talk about is vintage Levi's, because I feel like that's one that's not really talked about. Like, you never hear either a reseller or like someone really dip into the vintage pawn of Levi's. You just hear them like, oh, I found Levi's, or whatever the case is. But we are definitely going to dive into it. I will tell you where you can find Levi's at, like the #1 places to find Levi's, especially if you're shopping for yourself. But I do have some stuff for resellers in here as well, as we all would know. That's common sense. But I would say that the #1 place that you can shop for Levi's are flea markets. Sound funny, but I'm dead serious. Flea markets is a place, because flea markets specialize in vintage. flea markets is the perfect place where you can find vintage Levi's. And I will tell you, if you do find a pair of vintage Levi's, which I'll deep end the video, I'll get down to how you can tell a pair of vintage Levi's. But if you find some vintage Levi's in the flea market, you're typically going to pay about $8. That's totally not a bad price, whether if you're a reseller or if you're just a person looking to wear it. But I would say if you're a person looking to wear it, you really want to know your size, because you can't try it on in the flea market. So I definitely will say that that's the number one spot. And flea markets is dirt cheap, you know, so whether if you're gonna flip it or wear it, you can't beat finding vintage Levi's there for sure. The typical price that you're looking to pay at a flea market is around $8, so that's not bad whatsoever. Another place that I would say that you can find Levi's, and if I'm looking down, I'm just looking at my notes because I wrote this down, but like I have to give you guys the accurate information. So decor, vintage, shop furniture, color me, vintage gold penny vintage, redone, free people, and urban outfitters, flea market. I gave you, and those are just general places that you can go and you can buy Levi's at. Now some of them is for people who's just looking to shop, and some of them is for resellers. Now that I told you guys the places, I will stick to more of a reseller content. I just wanted to add that in there so that you guys could really know. And you know, if you're shopping for yourself, you could, you know, kind of look some of those places up to see. And guys, I will put pictures in of the different Levi's that I'm talking about. I will put some details and different things that could guide you along so that you could pretty much know, vice versa, like where I'm coming from. But most of it is just going to be pictures about the Levi jeans and things like that, and we all pretty much should catch on from there. So that's pretty much what's going to happen from there. So I wanted to talk to you guys about how do you know Levi's is vintage. Number one way of how to know Levi's is vintage is typically because the capital E tab is very important. A tab is, before we get into it, is the different on the back pocket of Levi's, it always have like a red tab. That's the tab, and on that tab you have the logo or the print that says Levi's down. So when you see that print, if it's the big E on there, that means that you have ran into vintage Levi's. Vintage Levi's has been ran since I believe like the 1890s or somewhere in the 1800s. I will list the little date right there of when the thing. But when the owner died of Levi's, who made the big E, another guy took over, which his name was Chris, and all the way from the 1936 until 1970s, that's when the big East died out, and then they came out with the Levi's of the little E. So if you pay attention to Levi's, the only kind of letter that changed in there went from a big E to a little E. So that's how you can tell vintage Levi's. If ever you find Levi's that's in full capital letters, that is vintage, and that can be worth the most money for us resellers. So we have some Levi's that could be from redone. So I actually experienced this because, a little story, I actually was at the Goodwill outlet in Hampton, Connecticut, and I personally picked up a pair of Levi's that was from redone. And I knew the brand redone was super expensive, right? But I didn't know that they did a collab with Levi's. So I was like really shocked, and I personally like DM one of my close friends or whatever the case is, and I basically told her, I'm like, you know, hey Ashley, have you ever seen this? You know, is it fake? Like, what do I do? Like, I'm looking it up, and then she's like, oh, the stitching look good and everything looks okay, so I pretty much think that you found some legit stuff. So I'm like, oh wow, okay, good, because if it's really legit, then this can seriously go for money, because redone jeans alone retail for so high. They retail for so high. So for them to have a collab with Levi's is also super expensive. So what happens is, I'll read what I wrote, and it says redone basically is where you find repurposed vintage denim. So redone basically repurposed the denim, and it actually like it's just it's perfect, and it's a modern fit. So that's perfectly fine, because like sort of to like Urban Renew, like they put their patches and they do their collab, and you know, a pair of redone jeans tends to go from anywhere from like $400 to $1,000. It really depends on the style, the custom of it, the material. Like it really just based off whole style wear. But if you find a pair that's retail, you can sell it for a good $200 to $300, just basically depending on style alone. Like I said, luckily I found some redone jeans. It was super cool, and I actually really liked it. So redone is definitely a place that you can find that does a collab with Levi's, and if you find it, pick it up, because it does extremely well. Now we're going to talk about Urban Outfitters. So Urban Renew, and that's basically is a place that sells Levi's. They actually sell Levi's, and they're actually known for Levi vintage. So typically like the 550 jeans with 5 pockets, but they also have like 501s and different things like that. So basically what Urban Renewal do is that they recycle different brands and different jeans, right? So they put their little patches on it, literally sew patches on the jeans, and they call it recycled, and those can go for like some big crazy cupcakes, like super big money. Like it can really go. So if you find a pair of Urban Renew Levi's, you definitely want to pick it up, because that is where your good money is coming from for sure. So I thought that was super cute. Now we are ask ourselves what is the value of Levi's? And hey Ariel, what are you telling me that we can get from Levi's if I'm a reseller and I'm picking it up? What should I typically look for? Ariel answers, I'm glad you asked. And when I when I said that, it's typically because the value of Levi's come in 4 different forms. It come in 4 different forms, and the denim dark Levi's is worth more than the faded denim. So if you ever look, you have your indigo, you have like your dark Levi's with like the, how do you say it, like this type of color pattern on the side. You have that type of dark denim that actually does really well. And if you're a reseller, it goes anywhere, I'll say from $35 to $40, which is super good for Levi's. You also have, like I talked about, the big E. The big E is very important in Levi's, and the tab is more valuable than the little E. So as I explained to you, if you find a Levi's pair that has that capital E, that then is more expensive, because that is from the first owner who created the Levi's. But the second owner, who actually took over Levi's, he's the one that did the small E. So definitely keep that in mind. I don't think that that's talked about enough as well. So the big E vintage can go for a lot of money. You're looking at least about a good, probably like, I'll give it like $80. Probably can go for more. But it's really big. So leather the leather patch is worth more than a paper patch. We all should know that leather patch is definitely worth more than a paper patch. Just feel the back of the Levi jeans and you'll be able to detect, is it paper or is it leather. If it's leather, it definitely goes for more. Why? Because they put more material, they put more work into it. You're typically looking at $60 if you can detect those type of jeans, which is super cute. Salvage as on the jeans inside cuff also runs for a high value indicator. So basically jean styles and wear is super good. But I would say that if you could find these, then that's great. But for a typical reseller, I would say definitely you want to look out for the wedgie fit. I have sold wedgie fit time and time again, and they have sold from, I'll say, from $45 to $60. Definitely a consistent seller. Levi's with the button front and the front, button front in the front, sells for super good money. 501s is always should be probably like your number one pick, because those are the ones that you're kind of going to see, and they are money makers. You can get from $35 to $40 on those. And like I said, if you were to find the Urban Renew ones or the redone ones, it's very rare, but if you were to find it, you definitely can get high bucks off of that. Now we're actually going to jump right into talking about the tabs. What are the different tabs and what are the meanings? The different tabs, the tabs, number one, like I said, is like that red little tag that's in the back, and that considered to tell you what type of Levi's is it. So when we look at typical Levi's, we see red tags. So that is the tab. That's what you call a tab of the Levi's. So the red label tab was patented in 1936. So, but you have two tags. You have the red tab, and then you have the trademark tab. So the red tab that has the Levi's on it, we all know about. That's an iconic tab. But then you have the tab that doesn't have anything on it, right? So that's the tab with no words. Again, I'll post pictures so that you guys can see it. Then again, you have the orange tab. A lot of you guys probably remember this, but I think this is definitely like from the 60s vibes or whatever the case is. And the orange tab in the 60s didn't have care tags, right? So the 60s, they didn't have the care tag. So basically they didn't have, like, you know, that material fabric tag, or like a certain way of, you know how you look in some clothing and you'll see like a care tag, how to take care of the clothes, whatever the case is. In the 60s, the orange tags didn't have that. It wasn't until the 70s that it was the difference between the two. So we know that the 60s would be more money than the 70s, because the 60s ones didn't have the care tag. So if you find the orange tab Levi's, then you know that the 60s will be more. Look, if it don't have a care tag, that is not a flaw. That is how it came for sure. The care tags came in the 70s. So just want to clear that up. Then we have the white tab. And the white tab was for the gals. So the white tab was definitely for the girls, which ran in the 1960s to the 1970s. The white tab was more specifically known for the corduroy jeans and the jackets. So the white tag was basically known for girls, basically in the 60s. And this is the jeans that was just so like arts to wear. It was just so fun. It was just like so laid back, so calm, so cool, collective. And it was just like corduroy and stuff, like this different style. And I think this is where Levi's basically started experimenting a little more. So this is definitely something that when I learned about, I was like, wow, that's really shocking. And then we have the black tab. So the black tab one was just based off of wrinkles, right? So it was black. I think it was what was it, with gold lettering? It was with gold lettering, and it was black, and it was actually from the 1960s as well. So the main purpose for the black tab with the gold Levi lettering was because it triggered to have press process. So it basically couldn't get wrinkled. That was the whole process of it, just to sum everything up. Like it go against wrinkles. So like your pants probably wouldn't get wrinkled if you had that type of tab on it, which was really good. That is so good. So then we also have the silver tab. We have the silver tab, and the silver tab was made in the 1988. Silver tab was introduced from baggy jeans to streetwear inspired denim. The silver tag defined in the 80s, right? And 90s jeans. So during the 90s and the 80s, then we had our loose fit, the real, like, probably like bell bottom Levi's, just like street wear type of Depop vibe. So that's pretty much where the silver tag came from. And then, as we all know, when we have our ups, we have our downs. So with all of the good Levi's that I actually talked about, and all that I talked about, you guys definitely should be on the lookout for. But we also have the Levi's signature. Now, I don't know about you, but whenever I'm in the thrift store, I always see Levi's signature. Why do we see Levi's signature? Because the Levi's signature is the lowest quality that you can go. So this is a quality that's probably typical sold like in places like Amazon, Walmart, Kmart, and it's just like a diffusion line. So like basically it was started in the early 2000s, and what happened was that Levi's was kind of pricey, you know, so they made a diffusion line in the early 2000s, and it was like, hey, like, they still wanted people to have their Levi's, but the Levi's of the signature Levi's definitely is not the quality. It definitely gets overlooked. It have no tab on it. It's very cheap, and it's sold at, like, you know, places like I just told you guys, and the quality is definitely not the same as the one that bear the tabs, because the one that bear the tabs is definitely for high-end, heavy-duty quality. Like, it's just like real expensive and real durable. That's what Levi brand based off of, like, being super durable. So that is definitely basically that. So pretty much, to sum up Levi's, you know, is a broad brand, and I didn't even touch on the half of it, but I honestly felt like if I gave you guys a different version of this video of talking about the tabs, and talking about the color of the tabs, talking about how it originated to where it's going now, I thought that or talking about like the vintage and where it's sold at, where you could pick it up at, I thought that would have been more informational, than more informative than telling you about, hey, you know, the 501s is really good jeans, or hey, wedgie fit is super cool. We all kind of know about that, you know. And I feel like a lot of people get stuck on Levi's when they see it, like, what's the good ones, what's the durable ones, should I pick this up, should I not? All the ones that I mentioned, you definitely should pick it up. The only one that I would tell you to leave behind is the signature jeans, because come on, if they're sold at places like Kmart, Walmart, or Amazon, you're not going to get a high profit off of them. But the ones that I told you about, definitely look for that big E one. If you guys find that, let me know about it. Definitely look for the black and gold one, the vintage ones, the orange tag ones, the ones for the gals. So yeah, look for all of that, and if you find it, tag me, because I definitely want to hear about it. But guys, I hope that you guys liked this video. I had fun doing the video. I had fun doing research on the video. I too learned, just like you guys learned. So we are in this together, and hopefully we found us some good Levi's now, because we had a breakdown on what it means and what to do with Levi's now. But guys, thank you so much. Until next time, guys, bye.